The fluorescent lights of the emergency room buzzed overhead as Emma Chen pressed herself against the cold hospital wall, her hands trembling so violently she could barely hold her phone. 27 years old, a junior marketing coordinator who still sent half her paycheck home to her immigrant parents. And here she was about to become another statistic. Her ex-boyfriend Marcus stood 30 feet away near the vending machines, his eyes scanning the crowded waiting room with the predatory focus she'd once mistaken for devotion. She'd been so stupid, so blind, the restraining order in her purse might as well have been tissue paper for all the protection it offered in this moment. Please, she whispered to no one, to everyone, to God if he was listening. Please, somebody help me. That's when she saw him, a tall man in an expensive charcoal suit, slightly rumpled with dark circles under his eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. He was standing near the reception desk, phone pressed to his ear, barking instructions about quarterly reports with the kind of authority that made nurses step aside. Everything about him screamed power, control, money. He was exactly the type of person who would never notice someone like her, but he was also her only chance. Emma pushed off the wall and walked straight toward him, her heart hammering so hard she thought her ribs might crack. Marcus had spotted her now. She watched his expression shift from searching to finding. Saw that familiar twist of his mouth that meant bad things were coming. He started moving toward her, weaving through the clusters of sick and injured people like a shark through water. She had maybe 15 seconds. I'm sorry, she gasped, reaching the man in the suit. I'm so sorry, but please. He looked down at her, startled, his phone still pressed to his ear. His eyes were a deep brown, intelligent and alert, despite his obvious exhaustion. Can you kiss me? Emma blurted out, the words tumbling over each other. Please, he's here. He's coming. And if he thinks I'm with someone, maybe he'll. Her voice cracked. Please. The man's eyes flickered past her shoulder, and something in his expression hardened. He didn't ask questions, didn't hesitate. In one smooth motion, he ended his call, pocketed his phone, and cupped her face with both hands. Follow my lead, he murmured, and then his lips were on hers. It wasn't a real kiss. Emma knew that it was protective camouflage, a shield made of another human's kindness. But his hands were gentle against her jaw, his thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. And for 5 seconds, she let herself believe she was safe. When he pulled back, he kept one arm around her waist, turning them both to face the approaching threat. Marcus stopped 3 feet away, his handsome face contorted with rage. Emma, we need to talk. The lady doesn't want to talk to you. The man's voice was quiet, but it carried an edge that made Marcus's eyes narrow. This is none of your business, man. Emma, baby, come on. You know we're meant to. She's with me. The man's arm tightened protectively around Emma's waist. And you need to leave now. Marcus took a step forward, and Emma felt herself flinch. But the man in the suit didn't move. He simply pulled out his phone again and held it up. I'm calling security. You have 10 seconds to walk away voluntarily, or you can explain to them and the police why you're violating a restraining order. His eyes locked onto Marcus's. Your choice. Something in his tone must have registered because Marcus's bravado cracked. He pointed at Emma, his fingers shaking with fury. This isn't over. Yeah, the man said quietly. It is. They stood there, Emma tucked against a stranger's chest until Marcus finally turned and stormed out through the emergency room doors. Even then, her rescuer didn't let go. Is he gone? Emma whispered. Secure's watching him get in his car. The man finally released her, but gently making sure she was steady on her feet. Are you all right? Do you need me to call someone? Emma shook her head, suddenly unable to speak past the sob lodged in her throat. The adrenaline was draining away, leaving her hollow and shaking. Hey, come here. And then this stranger, this man in his expensive suit, was guiding her to a chair, crouching down in front of her, his hand rubbing circles on her back while she fell apart in a hospital waiting room. When she could finally breathe again, Emma looked at him through swollen eyes. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you doesn't even begin to you don't need to thank me for being a decent human being. He grabbed a tissue box from a nearby table and handed it to her. Is there someone I can call? Someone who can stay with you. Emma thought of her parents who would worry themselves sick. Her roommate Sarah, who was out of town, her few friends scattered across the city with their own Friday night plans. I'll be okay, she lied. The man studied her for a long moment, then pulled out a business card. "My name is James." James called. "Well, if he comes back, if you need anything, you call that number. Day or night." Emma took the card with numb fingers, barely glancing at it before tucking it into her purse. "I'm Emma. Emma Chen, and I really can't thank you enough." "Emma," he said her name like he was committing it to memory. "Promise me you'll get home safe. Promise me you'll call if you need help." She promised, meaning it in the moment, knowing she'd never call. People like him didn't want to be bothered by people like her beyond the initial crisis. James Caldwell waited until her Uber arrived, walked her to the car, checked the driver's license against the app. He watched the car pull away, and Emma watched him shrink in the rear window, her unexpected guardian angel in a rumpled suit. She didn't look at his business card until she was home. Door locked, chain secured. When she finally pulled it out, her heart stopped. James Caldwell, Chief Executive Officer. Caldwell and Associates Marketing. The floor seemed to tilt beneath her feet. Caldwell and Associates, the massive marketing firm that occupied floors 15 through 21 of the downtown skyscraper. The company that had just acquired the small agency where Emma worked, the company that was now effectively her employer. She'd asked her CEO to kiss her in a hospital emergency room. Monday morning arrived like an executioner's appointment. Emma had spent the entire weekend oscillating between mortification and anxiety, rehearsing explanations that all sounded either pathetic or insane. The office was buzzing with news of the acquisition of the big meeting scheduled for 10 a.m. where the Caldwell and Associates leadership team would address their new employees. Emma sat in the back of the conference room trying to become invisible to somehow melt into the generic office chair. She didn't even look up when the executives filed in, too busy studying her hands and praying for a natural disaster. "Good morning everyone." That voice. She knew that voice. Emma's head snapped up and there he was. James Caldwell standing at the front of the room in another perfectly tailored suit, looking every inch the powerful CEO. His eyes swept the room, polite and professional until they landed on her. She watched recognition flare in his expression, watched surprise shift to understanding, their eyes held for one endless second, and she waited for embarrassment to color his features, for him to look away in discomfort. Instead, the corner of his mouth lifted in the smallest, warmest smile she'd ever seen. He didn't acknowledge her beyond that moment. He gave his speech about integration and opportunities, about respecting the creative culture of their new acquisition. But every few minutes, his eyes would find her in the crowd just for a heartbeat, checking that she was okay. After the meeting, Emma tried to escape, but his assistant intercepted her. "Miss Chen, Mr. Caldwell would like a word." Her heart sank, but she followed the assistant to a small conference room where James waited alone. "I'm so sorry," Emma began immediately. "Friday night I had no idea who you were and I never would have." "Emma," he held up a hand, stopping her spiral. "You have nothing to apologize for. Nothing. You were in danger and you asked for help. That's not something to be ashamed of." "I asked you to kiss me," she said miserably. "My CEO. You asked a stranger in a hospital to help protect you from someone who's threatened you. The fact that I turn out to be your CEO is just an incredibly unlikely coincidence." He leaned against the conference table, his posture relaxed, safe. "How are you really?" The genuine concern in his voice cracked something in her chest. "I'm okay. He hasn't tried to contact me. I think maybe you scared him off." "Good." James pulled out his phone. "I meant what I said Friday. If he comes back, you call me. I don't care what time it is or what I'm doing." "You can't mean that." She gestured vaguely at him at the corner office existence he inhabited. "You have more important things to deal with than my mess." "Emma." He waited until she met his eyes. "There is nothing more important than making sure you're safe. Nothing. Do you understand me?" She nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. "Now, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." He straightened, suddenly looking concerned. "Does working here knowing that does it make you uncomfortable?" "Because I can arrange a transfer, different team, different floor. I will not have you feeling unsafe or awkward in your workplace because of what happened Friday." Emma stared at him. This powerful man offering to rearrange his company because he was worried about her comfort. "You'd really do that in a heartbeat?" She thought about it. Really thought about it. About that moment in the hospital when he could have walked away. Could have told her to call security herself. Could have decided her crisis wasn't his problem. About the way he'd held her while she cried. This stranger with kind eyes and gentle hands. About the business card, the promise, the Uber check. "I'd like to stay," she said quietly. "If that's okay." His smile could have powered the entire building. "That's more than okay." They talked for a few more minutes. Professional boundaries, his open-door policy, resources for domestic violence survivors that the company offered. Emma learned that James had a sister who'd barely escaped an abusive relationship. Learned why he'd responded so instantly on Friday night. Learned that behind the CEO exterior was someone who understood that humanity mattered more than quarterly reports. As she stood to leave, James called her name one more time. "Emma, for what it's worth, you weren't stupid. You weren't blind. People like him are experts at making you believe lies." His voice softened. "And you were brave enough to ask for help. That takes more courage than most people ever find." Emma walked back to her desk, feeling lighter than she had in months, knowing that somehow, in the chaos of the worst night, she'd found an unexpected ally and maybe, just maybe, proof that there were still good people in the world. People who helped strangers in hospitals. People who led with kindness. People who understood that the truest measure of success had nothing to do with corner offices and everything to do with the choice to be human when someone needed you.